Well, hi everybody. Welcome to the Gypsy Moto Show. Tonight's show is brought to you by race gates. And that's basically what I want to talk about first, guys, is race gates. I've been putting in the new race, or the new starting gate, or starting on that, and that's kind of, I've seen a lot of cool things with this new gate. I knew it was a good one, but now I kind of see why MX Sports uses it, Feld uses it, MXGP uses the same gate, the Arena Cross series, both of them, I guess.
Well, I suppose it's kind of like if you think about it, when you build anything the first time, you learn a few things. And they built a bunch of these, and a lot of these gates that are still around were one of the members just built it because it seems like, I can build that, which you can, but maybe it ain't quite right.
Right.
So.
Yeah. How many rider gate is it?
It's going to be a 42-man gate. So.
Wow.
So big one. And then we can expand to that if we'd ever want to. I don't know why we'd ever want to, but yeah, so it's expandable. Hydraulic lift, Monster Energy green, so it looks pretty cool. And kind of the things that we're doing a lot of our colors in now.
So now, is it still going to be a dirt start?
Yeah, it's going to be a dirt start. And that's one of the things I was talking with Mike Riley. He's the guy that builds them. And eventually we're going to go to a concrete, maybe not a full concrete start, but we'll put it in concrete. But until we know for sure that we have the perfect angle set up, we don't want to do that, because I don't want to be locked into, oh, wait, the right side's always faster or the left side's always faster. So if we need to do, whatever we need to do to get it perfect, that gives us that option. So we're going to put it on wood first and then go from there. And anyway, so I'd called Mike. And he while we were buying it, and having it special built and that kind of thing, he was great to work with. But as far as on the install side, he's really good to work with. And had a lot of little questions, having put in a lot of these and, messed with him a lot. There were just some concerns I had about different things. And he has really built them foolproof. And when I was talking with him, he's actually got built 600 of them. So
wow.
That's pretty amazing. You figure he's got them all over the world, not just in the United States. So
that'll be nice.
Yeah.
Especially with the new start we have.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to ride that yesterday a little bit.
I got to ride it yesterday, Aaron. I took my bike out, and man, the dirt was perfect. And he's been telling me about the new start, and I was like, man, I just can't visualize it. So I got to ride it yesterday, and man, that thing is going to be cool. It's like our own little mini Talladega first turn. Right. It's gonna be cool. But yeah, the dirt was great yesterday. I had a lot of fun riding.
So what gear did you get to on that Cowie in the start?
I didn't do the start because it's not prepped yet. It's just laid out. So it's kind of like it looks like a prairie dog field right now.
Okay, princess.
Hey, but
I rode across it because it's still part of the track, but I didn't go over and do a start or anything there. I wasn't sure what he had in mind, or if he even wanted me over there or not.
But it is long.
It's a lot longer than it's double the length of our old start.
It's
nice.
It's I don't think it's quite double, but it's definitely longer. Yeah, quite a bit. And then
I'll be glad I got the 450.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun 450 start. For sure. And the cool thing is, like, on the outside, you've got a little bit more incline than the inside. So like the inside of the first turn. But then the first turn's a little bit off camber and it's tight. And so if you're on the outside, I've kind of played with this both ways. So on the far right side, we're going to be slightly closer than to the corner than on the inside. Just because once you see the corner and how big it is and the incline, it's kind of what needs to happen. And that's kind of why we're not putting it on concrete first, just to be sure we have it dialed in. Having messed with it quite a bit, I think we've got it pretty well figured out. But at any rate, when you're on the outside, say the far right, you'll be carrying so much more speed around that corner than the guys on the inside, and then it all automatically sets you up to be on the inside on the second corner. So it's going to be one of those cool things where you got actually three three chances by the time you head down the straightaway. So it's going to be a blast. And then that,
if you can get that inside dialed, whoever's racing it, if you get that inside dialed, you've got the same type of berm before you hit the jump. So, I mean, you could rail the outside if you come from the inside, because it puts you right onto the outside.
That's what's going to be so cool about it, because it's almost like an option in a way. It's not an option, but it's kind of going to have that option feel. Or if you on both cases, if you want to just switch, you'll have that option to switch too. You could go inside instead of inside outside, but if you do that, you're going to be lacking the speed. Where if you go outside, you're going to exit that corner at least 1 gear higher than the guys that are on the inside. So that exit speed, and then I think the roll speed on the far right is going to really compensate for that tight turn on the inside. So say the guy on the inside turns and decides to come across on you thinking he's going to block you. It's 90 feet wide right there in the turn. So even he tries to block you, you've got so much room to turn down and go through there that I think it's going to be really fun.
It'd be really good.
A lot of cat and mouse in there, I think.
Yeah.
So, but
I like
too much thinking. Just go high and go wide, right?
Yeah.
You know what else is nice? You know how you come down in the very back section down the ski jump, and then you make that right berm, and then you come up and there's like another tabletop. Then you go to the kind of the off camber turn at the top of that little hill there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
You widened that, didn't you?
Really wide. I think.
Yeah, because there's so many lines through there now.
I think it's like 35 feet across, or maybe 40.
That is awesome right through there.
And that was, because it was always kind of narrow there.
It's tight,
It was real tight. Where now it's at least 3 times as wide as it used to be.
Oh yeah. Before it was kind of one line. Now you can probably have 3 wide go through there easy.
Yeah, at full speed. Yeah, and each one's going to have its own nuances that give and take as far as check back and forth. So yeah, I'm excited about that one. And how about the dirt on that?
The dirt was perfect.
Yeah, I put on.
Dirt was perfect.
Some places there, I think I put on 7 foot of dirt. So. Yeah,
the dirt was perfect. I mean, wasn't too dry, wasn't too wet. It was perfect.
Yeah, pretty excited.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Anyway,
so what else you working out? I mean, what else should, between now and it's 2 weeks, right?
2 weeks, really, yeah. I mean, ultimately it's the 15th, or 17th, 18th, and 19th, so a little bit more than 2 weeks, but,
Yeah,
go ahead.
We did a lot of work this weekend, too, so, we put up all that snow fencing. That looks nice.
And that's kind of what I was going to say. That's going to be the big thing for the club, is getting all the other fencing up, getting the basically the what I want to call it, like the paddock area, or the starting area, the staging area, so that we'll just have racers and mechanics in there, and then also the mechanics area is just going to be to the right of the starting gate. And Chip and I were looking at that this week, and then I had about 3 different places. But the more that I looked at it, and the more that we kind of thought through everything, that is going to be the ideal place, because the mechanics can be in there, they'll get the start, and then immediately be able to step right over. And then the cool thing about that is we'll be able to use that start as they come across it to come back in as the mechanics area if they need to work on something in between motos. It'll be a nice big open place that nobody will be in there to mess with them. And so, yeah, I'm kind of thinking we got that pretty well dialed in. And then we'll be putting up all the new fencing on that new section out there, because we're going to have gate 1 where the dump truck is, and then gate 2, which will be coming into where that far gate that's up towards Hog Heaven. So ultimately we'll have gate 1 and 2 for the racers, and then we're going to have the main entrance gate that we had always used in the past for spectators. And there won't be any riding across on the pavement, so we can keep that area where everybody comes off the start free, so we're not having to worry about kids getting hit by cars or something coming through there. So that'll just be motorcycle traffic only in that area. So
be a lot better, less chaotic.
Yeah, for sure. And then the
How about any of the other jumps or corners changing much?
pretty much.
Don't tell him. Don't tell him. If he's going to be racing, don't tell him. Right. Let him figure it out when he gets there.
Chip's ridden it, so we'll have him, kind of talk about it. But everything got touched. Let's put it that way. Everything got widened. I don't think there's anything that we didn't make, at least as far as jumps go, other than the 2 step-ups. Those are the only 2 that we didn't widen this time, just for sake of time. But everything else got widened at least 10 feet. So, and then everything got a huge layer of dirt. I don't think there's any place that got less than probably 3 feet of new soil on top of it. All that good sandy loam soil. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty good. And then maybe as far as some corners go, there might be a little bit of change. The jumps are the same, they're just wider, but the corners have a little bit more some geometry to them that's really going to enhance them, like wider and just better. As you ride it, you can always tell what you can do to make them better, and we did a lot of that.
So you widened the hip jump area. Did you widen also the jump just above it, sort of that when you come off the hill, that little table, that one that you kind of cross?
So we're coming off the table at the very top.
Yep. You're talking about the next jump there at the bottom.
That one, yeah, we widened that one out. I'm going to say, I think about 10 feet.
Okay, because that really got one line through there. Because granted, everybody's taking the corner, straightening that out as much as possible. But it was really a freight train there sometimes, and it's kind of a fast freight train. So
yeah, and I do know this. There's a couple times that I've done that one because just for the same thing that you're talking about, you get in there and you had everybody on the fast line that was either towards the center or towards the right, because you could kind of cut track right there. And I couldn't get around them. And it was about the second time I'd encountered that, so I kind of changed my entry and then jumped it on the inside and then landed in that berm. And I knew it could be done, but I hadn't done it yet. And so we kind of enhanced that to where I think that's going to be a regular thing where you can just come up, start turning as you're going up the face, and I think it'll just set you up perfect to land on the gas and just be like straight into that big table on the outside. And I think that's going to be a really fast line, so it won't be just like, hey, it makes sense to go to the outside going off that jump to cut track, cut the distance, because then your turn, you still got a decent turn, but it's going to be a little sharper than the other one. So again, I think it'll be a give and take on that.
Well, it does work really well. Like a lot of times in practice, I jumped out on the inside, so just to take the outside on the right-hander, because it's a wall. You can't ride out of it.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah, there's, I bet you there's 4 or 5 foot of bank there that you can run up, maybe more. So.
Well, that'll be a good line.
Yeah, I think it's trying to think. And then the other big thing that's going to be different is coming off the ski jump, instead of heading out into what we used to call the half pipe. That's been changed. There'll be a real nice hairpin, but it's a hairpin, but it's big and wide, and then it kind of actually loops back onto itself, and that'll go past the mechanics area, go right up alongside the start, then it'll cut across the start, almost right in a perfect straight line across the start into that pigtail at the top of the new start. And then you got ascent and then descent all in that one turn. So elevation change up, elevation change down.
Yeah. The cool thing about that, just thinking about it, is that tree section could be really good, and the ditch could be good, but they were also both areas that could be real problematic. We over the years, we probably missed those 30% of the time where we just couldn't get it to go.
Right.
For water, mostly because the water comes through there so freaking hard.
Right.
You just can't get it out. So.
Yeah, that's a really good point too. That's one of the reasons that probably really sold me on it, because I love that area. But like you said, there's times when, if you're a mud rider, you absolutely loved it. But if you weren't a mud rider, then we'd have people down in there because the ruts would get 2 foot deep or whatever, and it got pretty treacherous if you didn't know how to ride ruts. And case in point was the state championship, that last race. I was out there watering and with water truck, and that big storm came in, and I got stuck on the flat with the water truck, and it was pure dry, and within like 3 minutes, even locked in with all that weight, I just couldn't move. I just sat there still on the grass. And then all of a sudden you saw this big wall of water coming. It comes ripping down, and I was just about ready to start, running back in, but it was raining so hard I decided to stay in the truck, and I'm glad I did. Pretty much I was on a high spot, and I got surrounded with water. I took pictures of it, and when I got done, when it finally quit raining, I think it rained for like 45 minutes, something like that, just as hard as it could be. I went and walked along that hillside that looks down into that tree section, and the water was all the way up to that bank. It was up like 6 feet on those trees. And we still pulled the race off. We got a race off the next day, which I don't know how. It rained so much that it washed those bleachers out down below and moved them all over the place. So.
Well, and I remember that one section which it wasn't even as wet up there as down in the bottom, but it washed a trench down to that sheet. I mean, it was 2 feet.
Yeah.
Of depth, so yeah, it's crazy.
That's the biggest one I've seen there. We've had some gully washers, but
yeah,
that one was a bad one. So
well, this new track will be a little more tolerant to that for sure.
Yeah, I think that's all the way around. We've had several years to kind of look at where the erosion happens, and now we've got a whole lot better control of drainage and where it goes, controlling it, and we've kind of gotten we're going to continue to work on it, but we've got, for the most part, got it away from the track, and there's just a handful of places where it has to cross the track, and we know that, so we're going to be adding some big culverts in those couple of spots, and I think,
Well, you're putting in a tunnel jump too, aren't you?
We'll be putting in a tunnel jump at some point, probably not yet this summer. I mean, I'd love to say, but right there across from the new pit area, so people can come right through there and then get into that center and watch. And that's another thing with the new pit area on the far south side there, out towards Hog Heaven. That's going to be perfect for people to pit out there, and it'll be like right in the middle of all the racing. They'll be able to see the starts. They'll be able to see the 3 great big jumps out there, all those corners. Be able to actually see people flying off the top of the very top hill jump. That table up there coming down. So a lot of the things that people.
What's the name of that mountain? Is there a name for it?
Well, it's had like Kelly Regals used to always call it Mount Gypsy, but I don't know. And then we've had Gypsy Moto Mountain, but I don't think we've ever really named it.
Well, maybe we'll put that out to everyone. See what we come up with.
That sounds like a good plan. Got to keep an eye out for the Yeti. That's one of the things you get up there high like that, just kind of in his territory. So.
Yeah, new evidence out this week. I'm sure you guys followed that in the news, so that's good.
What's that, Aaron?
Oh, they had more Yeti. I think had more images, and potentially, hair samples and all that. So it's legit.
It's the real deal. Well, I know ours is. I've seen it. So did you have a chance to make a Gypsy Moto one yet, or not?
No, man. It's been a rough week. I got to get after that.
That's what we got.
I thought I'd take the one we have, change the number to 36, and put some badging on there. I don't know. Is there any other suggestions we might have?
Well, it'd be kind of interesting to see what a grayish white one might look like. Like the Snow Yeti one. Although, I think most of the time in our area that's true. They're probably, in the brown color because of the summer. So, but in the wintertime, so it might be fun to see a brown one and an actual Snow Yeti. So.
Yeah, I mean, we can keep iterating on this.
That's right.
So I do know there was, so I got, I have tracks from Eagle Cliff pictures, and then is it Botany Canyon? Very close. supposedly that's a hot spot for them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, everybody.
I heard Santa Claus comes in December.
Hey,
Hey,
come on, no. Everybody knows that's bullshit, Chip. So we're talking serious cryptozoology here.
that's how serious we are about this, Chip.
I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
Down in Florida, we call them skunk apes.
Yeah, you hear some pretty crazy stuff from Florida too.
Yeah, but that's usually from the people, not from animals.
Yeah, you remember that show, Mountain Monsters? Anybody ever watch that?
Mountain Monsters?
Yeah.
Well, let me write that down. I'll look it up later.
If you haven't, that is I'm telling you what, that is the greatest show just to watch if you want a great laugh.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great time. All right. Well, anyway, guess I want to make sure everybody knows about the District 30 race coming up. April 17th will be practice. April 18th and 19th will both be race days. Within the next couple of days, we'll have the race order up on Facebook and on the website. We're going to follow, for the most part, exactly the Loretta's race order. So with the couple of supplemental classes that we've added. So we'll have the 60 plus, and I know there's some 50 classes that we added. So that being said, we'll have that all up here pretty soon. I know that there's been some questions. How are we going to do that? It'll be just the way that Loretta's does it, and we're going to hold that for all of the races. So the District 30 race will be that way. The Loretta's race will be that way. The two Powder Basin races will be that way, and the state championship will be that way. So that's how that's going to go. And super excited about the race, I can tell you that. After being out there, it's like I love skiing, but I'm glad ski season's over. I'm ready to start riding a dirt bike for sure. Watching Chip yesterday, it was like, yeah, it's time. And then you grab that dirt in your hand, and it's like, oh yeah, it's time. That dirt is so amazing.
It was incredible.
That start, just won't belabor this anymore, but that start, so we're playing with that dirt. That huge mountain of topsoil that I had that was down there, I think I had I want to say I had over 100 rock truck loads of topsoil in that. Plus, I don't know how many I'd hauled just with the regular dump truck. We put all of that on that start. So it's black, sandy. It's black enough that I think it stains your hand when you pick it up. It's that black. But the other cool thing is it's sandy too. So it's black, sandy, loam topsoil. Just
yeah, it's not muddy. It wasn't muddy at all. Because when I rode across it the first time, I was like, oh, this looks like it might be, and it was just as dry. I mean, it was perfect. It was like perfect.
It's going to be so tacky. That's why, on that note, that start corner, I am so excited to see how that develops, because, it's going to be, here's the other cool thing about it is, it's going to be a good start, but eventually there's going to be a pretty good rut that gets built in there. So, on the start side of it, just because you're on the inside, doesn't mean it's going to be that great. You're going to have to be searching, because it's going to start getting beat up on that inside as the races go on. And then having that 90 foot to play with, it's just going to be so many options and so many things that happen there. So anyway, that's all. I guess that's all I got to say.
And we go through the start corner each lap also?
We do.
Right?
Each lap. It was one of those things I kind of struggled with, but after about 3 years of planning it, it's really one of the few places we had to get a good start, get a good long start, and have it in a sensible place that had really good dirt. And the more I looked at it, the more it started making sense. And now that it's done, it's one of those things that doesn't take very long to walk it and be like, oh, this is going to be great. So, and then kind of looks like Chip got to ride it, and it sounds like it was pretty fun. So.
It was a lot of fun. One of those rides where you're on your way home and you're still smiling,
So how long did you ride? How long did you ride?
I rode a couple hours.
Okay, that's what I was thinking the whole time you were there. Yeah. And so you got your suspension tuned a little bit.
Yep, thanks to Brett. I've always been afraid to mess with it, because I'm always afraid I'm going to take it so far out that I won't be able to reel it back in. So Brett just happened to be handy yesterday, and he gave me some tips on it. Man, what a difference it made! Because on the back ski jump, when you come down and you come off of the jump, there was a couple of washouts there because the track hadn't been prepped. And when I first went out there with my normal settings, I had to wheelie over them because it was, such a hard hit. And then by the time we did our last adjustment on the bike, I just ran across it. It was like boom, boom, just couldn't even hardly feel it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, that's something we ought to talk about, suspension, a little bit, because I think a lot of times people don't even realize how big of a deal that is. I mean, I've known people that have motocrossed their whole life and haven't really done any suspension work, and they're great riders, and they just don't realize the enhancement that brings to your riding. And it literally can either make or break a bike, and I think it probably makes up 50% of your race. If you have that suspension tuned right, I'd rather have suspension than motor any day, and I'd rather have suspension than the right tire. Suspension's probably right in there with oversized front brake for me. So
yeah, forks in particular, like I'm very critical of the forks, and I rode the front wheel a lot, and so it's just kind of everything. You're like, yeah, how's it going to turn? How's it going to handle the rough? And just
for sure.
Yeah, I mess with mine a lot. Although, I take mine to Greg, and I've had a lot of different places I sent it over the years. And since I've been going to Greg, it's just, I think he knows so much more about what our tracks are going to be like, and how I ride, and it's just next level. And then last year I was having a little deal where I was just when I ride coming out of corners in particular with a lot of acceleration bumps, particularly if they get square edge, and for whatever reason on these clay tracks that we ride around here sometimes, I mean, this squares, it'll be like a curve. It'll dig out underneath almost.
Right.
But I was kind of struggling with that, and I talked to Greg about it, and then he ended up actually kind of taking a part out of a different shock and put it in my shock. And I mean, it just fixed it.
Nice.
And it's just now I can just go, and it didn't seem to negatively affect anything else. So I don't know. He explained to me what he did, but man, what a difference. So
that's cool.
That's a guy that's going to know, because I think he still has the track record, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty sure he does. I know Jeremy put in a really fast one last year, and it's one of those hard things to say because we've done some changes on the track. So, but I believe that Greg still has the track record. So.
Well, he's ridden it. He's probably, of all the A guys, I'm sure Greg's probably spun more laps because he was coming to practices, and he raced in our hair scrambles and those early ones.
That's true, for sure.
That was one of the things that blew my mind on one of those early, well, it was shortly after people started doing that table on top, which we talk about it, the big table, and it's like 115 to get to the lip. It's big.
It's big.
But what was amazing was Greg did that for 2 hours.
Right. I still have videos of that. So Austin was up there, and he's the first one to pull the trigger on it. Remember that? And I remember we were all just like, I remember building it thinking, I think somebody could do this, but nobody was doing it. And I'd gone it and jumped it and landed like 15 feet from the end. It was like, somebody's going to do it, but just never had pulled the trigger. Then Austin went and did it, and that was like awe-inspiring when you first saw it. It was just like, did I really see that? And then Greg started doing it, and that was pretty cool.
Then we were worried about the power lines. Remember that?
There's a lot of stuff there, looking at like what is the trajectory and how far are you going to go. That jump is the greatest jump ever when you do it, though. When you backside it, it's just like there's nothing better.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Well, on that note, there's been a lot of stuff with AMA, and I think you mentioned it earlier. Ezra decided to hang it up. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was curious. I have not heard. I don't know if you guys heard why he walked away, but I think if I was him, I'd have walked away. And I don't know what his stance was, but there's so much, like we talked before, there's so much constant discussion and confusion, and I think it stems from maybe some lack of direction, lack of chain of command. But the one that has really sort of, I'm tired of hearing about is the track marker thing with Deegan. It's like, I really struggle with that, because maybe the track markers were placed terribly, maybe there's whatever extenuating circumstances, but the bottom line is the track markers don't move. So if you knew where they were on lap 3, you better know where they are on lap 4. There's literally no possible excuse for that. And thank, hats off to the AMA. They took, to me, the only possible solution, which is you broke the track, you're going to get the penalty that's on. You broke the track marker rule, so you get the penalty that's on the books for something that there's really no explanation for, and people are coming unglued. I'm confused. What am I missing here, guys?
Well, here's what I think the whole thing comes down to: a lack of communication from somebody, be it Feld, AMA, I don't know. Somebody there in charge needs to be a better communicator, because the whole crux of the matter is the track marker was in a terrible place. But the rule is the rule, so if you can't come inside of that once it's there, then that's the rule. So AMA or whoever made that decision made the right call. But nobody has communicated to people to give them any guidance. So I think the whole thing's turned into this big drama fest on, social media and stuff. And there's all kinds. Everybody has feelings, but feelings aren't real. You know what I mean? It's like the bottom line is there's certain things that are hard and fast rules. It doesn't matter what your feelings are. It's like I was saying earlier, if we're riding a crappy track, we all have to ride the same crappy track, but the rules still say the same on that crappy track. So that likewise, if that track marker is 15 feet out, I kind of did a bad job of expressing it myself in the last show. I just did not like that placement, but still you can't go in between it. And Deegan knows it, everybody knows it. It should have been a discussion about, well, the track markers next time need to be placed closer, or we need to have more of them in between. That should be the end of the discussion, but instead it took off on something that, was a bunch of talking and really goes nowhere. So that's what I think.
I'd be curious to see if that track marker stayed that way from the time they built the track. Because if so, then it's kind of late once the main starts to start complaining about it. You had practice, you had your qualifiers, then you had your heat races. At some point, someone should have brought it up if it was messed up. Unless whenever they did it, at intermission or in between motos and knocked it over and put it back up, it just wasn't in the same spot. That could be. So I'm not going to judge that. But, even with last weekend's race, you saw what Cooper Webb did to Prado, right? He came and just cleaned him out. Well, apparently, I guess he didn't get penalized, but Vince Freezy, who's always in something, he got docked points, his AMA license, he got fined and everything for aggressive riding. And so there's another one. We know Freezy's always, the suspect in every rough riding incident. But when someone else is, it's got to be across the board. Just because it's Cooper Webb doesn't mean that you should be able to get away with it. That's the problem I'm seeing every weekend. It's like it's either black or it's white when it comes to the rules. Yeah. You can't have a gray area and go, well, Aaron did this, but Brett did that, so I'm going to give Aaron, I'm going to break it off in him, but Brett, he's a pretty cool guy. I think I'll let him slide on this one. You can't do that.
We've seen it over and over and over, and I suspect that's why Ezra took off. And when I talk to Gene, I'm going to ask him just to see what I can find out. Who is making the decisions, and Is it Feld? Is it AMA Pro? Is it AMA? And how are those decisions being made? And also, I think we need somebody to communicate to the people how those decisions are being made, who made them, and why those decisions are being allowed to be made, by whomever's making them. And because that right there is the problem, is the inconsistencies coming from just what you said. Anybody, it's everybody's going to get a various penalty for the same infraction. And why is that? And who's making those decisions? And yeah, that's really, to me, what the problem is.
And I think it is it's difficult that way. But there are some positive trends, I'd say. Say if you think of, if you have a street where everybody's speeding and there's accidents happening, so they start handing out tickets, and maybe they don't catch everybody, but if they're getting enough of them, pretty soon people slow down and obey the law. And the thing I say about it's just sort of become the norm to say, oh, racing's rubbing, and that was just a racing incident. And it's like, it doesn't have to be. And to me, a lot of this has kind of ruined the sport, because, and I'm not, you pick on Freezy or Deegan or whoever, but when it's like, oh, they're stopping on the track and it's like, fuck, this isn't what we came to see. It's just like, we're here to watch a race. And I think they'll probably never eliminate all of it, but if they do enough to bring it back, that's better. But I do think I'm with you guys in that, like, I don't care who it is, just if it's clear, or even if it's not 100% clear, if it's questionable, let's give them a penalty. Like, we're clearly way too far on one side of this thing,
For sure.
And I'm sure it is hard to give Cooper Webb a penalty, but And
at the end of the day, too, at the end of the race, somebody needs to come out as a spokesman, whoever it is, whoever's making those decisions, and tell everybody, here's why, here's what it was, and here's what we're going to do in the future. And I think that would be the big thing that kind of straightens a lot of the hearsay and all the drama up, because then you have an official statement, here's why we're doing it. And there may be reasons that they're not doing it, but I think they need to get ahead of it, because it is ruining the sport. Yes, it's making it something for drama queen people, but that's not what motocross people should be. And ultimately, whatever happens at the pro level trickles down to the amateur level.
Yeah, 100%.
Can't have it,
Hey, and speaking of the end of the race, I don't know if this is something I could just move right into this discussion. Have you noticed how most of the racers, when they're talking, they'll be like, so, how was the track tonight? Yeah, I was riding, the whoops were, they were pretty. I'm like, dude, quit saying yeah. Now all I hear is yeah, and I don't hear any more words the guy's saying. It's like, and Brett brought up a good point. He goes, it seemed like it was started by Cooper Webb. It's kind of like and they don't want to, and now they just say yeah, and they all do it, man, except for a handful of them. But it drives me nuts. It's like, Feld, get somebody that's good with an announcer or someone like that can teach these guys how to speak on there, so they're not just saying yeah the whole time.
Or I got another solution. What's her name? The lady with the Australian accent.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can't remember her name.
I mean, nice lady, but boy, it's hard for me to listen to. I'm sorry to say. And then when she asked the question, I'm confused myself, because it's like this long, and I'm trying to think. She asked 4 questions in one and made a statement, and then asked a question and made 3 more statements. And it's like, how could those guys answer the question? Because if you're at home watching it, and your adrenaline's not up, nothing like that, and you still don't understand the question, how can the racer in front of the fans have any clue how to answer her? I mean,
I don't know. And that's like with Lee Diffie, the guy that's in the booth, man. I can't stand him either.
He's terrible.
I cannot stand it, man. And it's like,
you kept calling Davies Davis last week. Wow.
And that's one of the reasons why I can't stand watching the GPs. It's just their announcers. It's just like nails on the chalkboard.
Oh, I love the GP. I love them goofy GP announcers.
Oh, I hate them. Hate it. But I like. I don't know. I like our American boys in the box there.
I want somebody like Rick Johnson down there asking questions because he has no scruples.
He would rip them.
He'd be like, you did this wrong. Why'd you do that? You know what I mean? But or else if they were good, to be like, man, I loved what you did, and and it'd be very colorful language. We'd be doing a lot of bleeping, but it would be way more real to me than to have some of these people that have no race. Well, maybe they have a little race experience, but not at that level. And of course, we could always say everybody should do anything, but that's what I'd like to see.
Who was a good pit reporter was Daniel Blair.
Yeah,
I liked him.
So do you guys still think that whole thing with Ricky and him was a ruse, or do you think that's really real?
It seemed real to me. I don't know.
It did. It just seemed so stupid. I mean, to me, it's like I love Ricky as a racer, but Ricky has a lot to learn from Daniel in terms of an announcer and in terms of an interviewer and in terms of just insightful, here's what I saw happen and that kind of thing. So that was just a real shame to me. I don't care what happened between them. I just wish that hadn't happened like that.
Yeah, I think the whole announcing thing has got this momentum going a certain direction with Lee and Ricky, and it's kind of, how many people turn the sound off on the broadcast? And it's like, we can say, oh, it's so much better than it used to be, but I think it used to be, you said real. And I think that's real legit. Like, I think real legit. I think that Daniel Blair is so real. Jim Holley was very real. Jeff Emig was super real. I think Bubba's amazing.
I like Bubba. Yeah.
And I really like Weech, too.
Oh, yeah.
And we have these other people in there that are like, it's like a play act. And kind of like you say with they're all sort of trained what's going on here. And I think, if we think about where these guys come from, like, none of them are planning on being announcers. Like, they are on there because they spent their whole childhood riding their dirt bike.
Right.
And, and that, they aren't really crafted into being what they ultimately are expected to be. And maybe we should just let them be they're going to be who they are, but I think of like Weimer and Preston, everybody, like those guys would say what's on their mind, and it was awesome. Right. I love that era. So
I don't know if you guys watched the pregame, like, before the races, they, the day show where they got Justin Brayton and Adam Cincerillo, and they do a good job. Mm-hmm. But Ricky will come in usually right before, they sign off. And he's so much more fluid and making sense. So I almost wonder if during the race, if it's the play-by-play, because I watched an interview with him one time, and he said, you've got the headphones on, and you're watching something, and the people that are spotters are yelling in your ear, bring up something about a rough pass or something. And he said, I want to talk about how Davies whoop speed's going through there, and I almost wonder if that's not like a distraction, all of that, because whenever you see him on the pregame show, he's as fluid as anybody. Ricky is.
Well, and that's true. And like if you see him on the podcast with Villapoto, it seems a lot more, I'm going to use the term
relaxed.
Relaxed and a lot more insightful. And I could understand, because I think I could have that same tendency. I think it probably is a personality thing. Everybody has different parts of their personality, and it might be one of those things that ends up hindering Ricky having other people talk to him, so it doesn't end up becoming as real and authentic, because it's trying to be turned into a show. Where James, either he just ignores it, or he can listen to 6 or 7 different things and sort them all out, and she'll just push out the junk and say what he wants to. But James, during that time, just comes off more fluid. But I do agree with you. Ricky in another situation is a completely different guy. So, yeah, there's probably something to that.
I think it'd be kind of cool, and I don't know how it works, but just to kind of bring in, just let the sport be a little more organic. Like the broadcast is a production, and it's probably always going to be like that. But I don't know. It's kind of cool when you see the different characteristics of the riders, and just like all the goofballs we got hanging around. Like these guys were all goofballs too at one point. I remember I was at Millville once, and we had a pit pass because Mickelberg's wife, something to do with the Toyota dealership. So we were there. We were walking around. This is Kanye and I, and we go to the Alessi pit, and there weren't many people there. That was after they were already whatever sort of the bad boys. And Tony was there, and it was all set up, and they had shirts and stuff. But Mike and Jeff weren't there. And all the other riders were there. And then they come rolling in the rental car. And you could clearly see, like, they overslept or something, And Tony's yelling at them a little bit. And they're pointing the finger at each other. And it's just like, oh, yeah, this is just a couple of goofy teenage kids.
Right.
Like, this is what you would expect. And so then you kind of, like, it gave a little bit. And then I remember the whole laser thing with Jeff. Like, when, he was trying to... And it's like, yeah, he's just a goof. That's the kind of stuff that 17-year-olds do.
Right.
They do really stupid stuff.
Right.
So, but I mean, it's kind of cool that we have a sport where you can have a goofy 17-year-old kid, like maybe Cole Davies is goofy, I don't know, who's the fastest guy in the world. That's pretty amazing. And I think it'd be neat if we could kind of showcase, like, I like that that's there. And I hate that it's kind of all covered up in the broadcast or whatever, but
all right, Davies isn't the fastest guy in the world.
I don't know, maybe he isn't.
Yeah, you might want to look at that number 38 there.
On that note, I think we had that in the late 90s and early 2000s, what you're talking about. I think that
you're right.
We had that because, if you go back and think about some of the stuff, good and bad, that Jeff Emig did, I mean, we saw their personalities. We saw, no better, McGrath. I mean, McGrath was an icon, and he was an icon of class and style in motocross, and he really single-handedly made motocross this shining sport, which it hadn't been before, And I think that they probably have some of those people, and I think that's what they're kind of trying to do with Deegan, maybe to a certain extent. But just because of the more control that they have now than they used to then, I think maybe we it doesn't come off as authentic, where it was spontaneous.
Not as organic.
Yeah, some of the stuff that Emig was doing and McGrath was doing.
Remember J-Law?
J-Law. I always used him for an example of, Seth, this is what I don't want you to ever be like. And at the same time, you listen to him now, you gotta love him. He's just like, hasn't changed much other than he's got some better principles now.
I don't know.
Actually, thinking about that era, and even going into the Dungey Poto era, even that is not that far back.
Right.
Like, we kind of knew a little, like, those guys more or less were just themselves.
Right.
And think of, I think Yogi too was in that era, and just, we knew how badly he wanted to beat McGrath, and he didn't hide it, and everybody knew McGrath was spectacular, and Emig and McGrath too, just, like, it was so kind of real, and it was just cool that I think in general it was just way more relaxed, so their personalities kind of came out.
Right.
Right, you're right.
It's true.
I remember a deal at Millville too, where Canyon and I were there, and we were standing on the fence, just kind of between the two stands going into the sand whoops there. And Canyon was probably 12 or 13, and he kind of stood out. He was a flashy dresser or whatever, and just a goofy kid. And I'm standing there watching the race, and I notice he starts talking to somebody, but I'm too busy watching the race. Well, it turns out it was Poto. And Poto was probably 17 years old, and he's just standing there talking to Canyon, and I'm like, oh shit, it's Ryan Villapoto. And I'm going to go, hey, good race. And he goes, yeah, I got sick, kind kind of between there, but whatever, he still won. And he didn't say much to me. He just went right back to talking to Kenyon. And it's kind of like, yeah, he's probably more interesting than I am. Toto isn't worried about impressing anybody. He just happened to talk to this interesting little kid and talk to him for 5-10 minutes. And, I don't think that we see that kind of stuff. I mean, I think the Lawrences do a good job of being kind of true to themselves, and
the Lawrences are probably the greatest thing that happened to motocross in, 15 years. Just because of who they are, how they interact with the fans, and then how they've tried to up the bar, and they've kind of looked at it three-dimensionally and figured out a lot of new things that they could do to give that fan experience and just to promote themselves and to build a brand that nobody else has done for a long time. I think McGrath was probably the last one to really do it kind of like that,
Yeah.
But these guys are way more personable. Like McGrath knew he was good. You know what I'm saying? Where these guys are really kind people and have a lot of manners that are.
Yeah, it's kind of. I think they kind of. And I think with McGrath, too, they all kind of came by it honestly. That's just kind of who they are. Kind of like Ryan Dungey is so polite and businesslike. And it's like, yeah, that's what you get with a suburban Minnesota kid. Right. That's kind of, he comes through. And where J-Law, he could have pulled that off in a million years. Like, there's no amount of coaching that was going to work for down there.
It's true.
But that was cool. It was fun to watch.
Here we are kind of criticizing and game planning everybody, how they act, all the different things, but really, when I stop and think about it, there is no other sport that, other than maybe like skiing, I guess there's some other sports, but motocross really highlights those personalities. We've named several names, starting, and I'm thinking all the way back to, like, say, Hurricane Hannah. I mean, there was a huge personality. You got Rick Johnson, a huge personality. I'm going to leave out way too many people so I can jump ahead. Then we get to McGrath, huge personality. And then we left out a whole bunch of people in between there. I mean, it is a pretty cool sport when you stop and think about the people. And
the coolest part of, or I think the one sort of theme that runs through all these guys is they just really, really like riding dirt bikes, right, to a level of being some sort of character flaw.
Right.
And you mentioned Hannah, and I saw him at Millville once, and at Millville, it might still be there, but they used to have a hill climb, that was a common thing back then. And where the hill climb base came right down to the flags or whatever of the moto set up for the national. So you see Hannah go over, he pulls off, he gets on the outside of the track, so he's got no room. It was like a real hill climb, no start, and he takes his factory Yamaha and rides up the hill climb hill. And he didn't just rip it. It was a tough hill. And it's like, yeah, why did he do that with his factory bike 30 minutes before a pro race?
Right.
He just likes riding dirt bikes. So.
Right. Pretty cool.
And actually, Alessi's a good example, too, in that, everybody, Alessi was coached all the way through this and that. But, that guy's still riding dirt bikes.
Yep.
Just for the hell of it now. You know what I mean?
Right.
So no matter what else he went through, that guy enjoyed being out there on that dirt bike. So
the Hill Brothers. Is there anybody that enjoys dirt bikes more than the Hill Brothers?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You start looking at all the stuff that they do all over the country, the races that they do here, and every kind of race. You know what I mean? It's like they're not just riding motocross races. There's a race that I think it's Justin's. I believe it's Justin's putting on in Fremont County in Wyoming in this place called Sandra, where I used to ride. I mean, it's as close to like a Baja race as you could get, up in the north kind of a thing. All these washouts. It's just sagebrush and sand, and the thing's amazing place. And they do stuff like that all over the place. And then they show up in all these Red Bull things and crazy and do good. I mean,
yeah, they're going to a Supercross National and
right.
and qualifying. And Justin was like top 10 in the main there a little bit ago. I don't know where he finished, but yeah, but that's the problem with dirt bikes. It is absolutely a disease. I know. Once the snow melts, it's like, what am I gonna go do now?
Yeah.
And there's not enough time in the friggin' day.
So,
You know, and like last year I did that adventure ride with Jim, and that was a friggin' blast. And then I had to go buy another motorcycle, and it's like they trying to fit all these different things in there. You know.
So what'd you end up buying?
I bought a KTM.
You did?
I got a 390, yeah, because they were. I actually got it for like $5,000 brand new. It's a 24. Yeah, it was like $2,500 off.
That's
and then
awesome.
because they had rebates. There was rebates and something else, and then I told Kyle about it. And the other thing is like they were struggling to sell them because it was a 24. They never had a 25, and the 26 was coming out, and supposedly the 26 was going to have all these new things, and it didn't. It was the same bike.
Wow.
But it was funny because Kyle said his dad ran into somebody who waited for the 26 and pre-ordered it, and paid like $9,500 because he was out in Arizona or something. And it's like, yeah, I just got the same bike for $5,200.
Nice.
But anyway.
Now, is that an adventure bike?
Yeah. It's a pretty good bike. I'll be honest, like that bike at Jim's is friggin' cool.
That Aprilia's
yeah, I would take that in a heartbeat over what I got.
What does he have?
An Aprilia?
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah.
like, what size
it's
is
a
his?
650, I think.
Okay, yeah. Pretty nice bike.
Yeah.
Nice bike.
And it's in the adventure bikes, it's the Yamaha has kind of been the king of the little ones for quite a while, and it is a great bike.
Right.
But the Aprilia is a little lighter and a little lower seat and real high-end components.
Right.
Mine's the 390 KTM is great, but it's a Chinese-made bike, and it kind of shows.
Is that
Oh,
right?
really?
Yeah, it's all right.
How is it for power and stuff?
It's okay. I mean, the Aprilia, I'll say the Aprilia motor is way cooler.
Yeah.
Like I think with the 390, like it's just a little motor for a kind of a big bike.
Sure.
And then when you step up to the 650, and I had a V-Strom, I mean, it's kind of nice to have that torque for the little bigger bike. But the V-Strom doesn't really, it's not nearly as good of a dirt bike as like the Yamaha or the KTM, or the Yamaha or the Aprilia. To me, those are the ones that are in the neighborhood, and I think that Yamaha or that Aprilia is cool as hell.
It is a really cool bike. I think, just looking them both over and having ridden them both, I think the Aprilia is probably more of the true adventure bike, where the Yamaha, if you're going to be racing it, like say in a hair scramble situation, or like a lot of these guys are motoing them, that Yamaha I think might be a little bit heavier duty just for holding up for that stuff, But yeah, Italian Aprilia is just a beautiful bike, for sure.
I was amazed because I couldn't believe the stuff Jim was doing with it, and I didn't think he'd ridden a ton of dirt bikes, but neat bike.
Now Jim's thinking about doing some trip that goes, this guy called from Canada, and he's got some kind of crazy deal for adventure bikes. They're going to be coming through a bunch of these lower states and gathering people, and they're going to drive all the way up to the Arctic Circle, and I think Jim's going to go be part of that thing now. So.
Good God. He doesn't do anything half-assed.
He doesn't, right? Besides, he's going to the Baja, so he goes and does that last year. Besides, he's going to go fly kites. He didn't race it, but he went down and rode the whole thing down. He went down with Dahlquists, and I don't know exactly what he did with them, but he rode the whole way through and all that.
Wow.
Well, I'm hoping to get out there and do some more of the Black Hills with them, because that was a hell of a lot of fun.
It's pretty cool. You only live once, you better take advantage of it. Right.
I just got to quit my job so I got more time to do this stuff.
Right. Well,
I'm good.
How long have you been a dancer, Aaron?
Then what?
A dancer? You said you had to quit your job? And then how you pick away.
He's not even going to bite on that one. He's just going to like laugh you off. Come on, Jocko. Enough of that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, anything else, guys?
No, I guess not. Just waiting for this weekend. Who's your picks?
So you were saying some of your thoughts, Aaron, earlier. What were that?
So
Was that?
I just love to see Kenny go on a run, but I'm like say maybe wishful thinking, but I mean he proved that he was the fastest guy, and this is not this track is going to be somewhat similar to the last one, a pretty technical track, but I just feel like we're sitting on a Tomac volcano. I think he might just come out and destroy. It just kind of has that feeling, but I'm going to go with Kenny just because I want to see him win. I think it'll be kind of a recovery weekend for Hunter. I think he's going to lose a lot of steam only because that was a tough weekend, and not only that, like, to me, the reason he crashed, he was riding over his head. And he might have been doing that for 2-3 weeks, and maybe that's why he's winning, but it doesn't work every weekend.
See, I watched an interview with him, and they were asking him what happened. He said he felt more comfortable than he's ever felt. He said, I was really flowing. Everything was going perfect. He said, I was starting to reel in Chase and Kenny. And he said, it was just one of those things. He said, the bike hit a different way, and it just, over the bars he went.
I kept hearing different things back and forth, and maybe you guys know this, that it was a front brake from the very beginning, even at the end of those whoops, and he didn't get the drive. Have you guys heard
I didn't hear
about
that.
Yeah, I'd watched a few podcasts on that, and I don't remember if it was Ricky or who was saying it at the end. They were replaying it, and they were talking about that. And so I was just trying to piece that all together. I don't really know. But
So, Aaron, you got Roxon, then who?
Oh, I'll say Roxon, but I think Roxon and Sexton and Tomac are probably going to be in at the top. That's kind of what I think.
There you go.
I did.
How about you, Brett?
Well, there's one thing I did want to add in there. One thing I did see is there's some speculation that Eli has an injury.
Mm-hmm.
Had you seen that? Possibly a fracture by his knee, and he'd been nursing that from last year. I think it happened.
Oh, really?
That was some of the speculation. He hasn't come out and said it, but there's a lot of people speculating that, and that, because even at the end there, when Webb came up, it's like he had a burst of speed, just like, I'm not going to let Webb pass me, but it was almost kind of like he decided, I'm going to finish where I'm at, and I'm not going to battle to try to get up there, but he did still have the speed when he needed it, but he didn't contest with Cooper, because I think he felt like Cooper's got the speed, it's still too early in the race, and I'm not going to, so it almost looked like he managed, but
he also said that he's in a mid-season slump, is what he called it.
Right.
But that's weird about the racers. I mean, if they have an injury, wouldn't that make more sense to go, I tweaked my knee in practice, than to go, I'm just having a slump. Then everybody's like, well, get out of your slump, dude. Instead, it's like, just say it. But they always say they don't want to give an advantage to their competition. But I mean, if you're still beating your competition, I mean, or not, you either do or you don't. I mean, if I was racing against you, I wouldn't go, I know Brett, was up all night on an all-night bender. I think I can pass him. I don't think it would be like that. I think I'm either passing you or I'm not.
And it might be that, from an athletic standpoint, I kind of think about it, that thing of the positiveness and the words that come out of your mouth. And there's a lot of philosophies on that, but a lot of athletes have that thing where if it's going to come out of my mouth, it's going to be, even if there is this issue, I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to basically speak things into existence. I'm going to speak things as I believe they are, and my body's going to follow. There's just a lot of philosophy that way. And also, with a lot of those people that talk that way, they don't give the excuse of, I would have been faster, but my knees hurt, or this or that.
Right.
So there may be some of that. I don't know, but yeah, I understand what you're saying too. I don't know. And Eli, I think he's always going to be, because of the way he's been raised and because of their whole, top secret program, we're never going to know really what's going on there.
So who's your pick?
Well, I am probably going to go with Kenny for first, because I think he's there. I believe he's got the confidence now, and I think they got that Suzuki figured out. And when you do, boy, those things just shine. And I think probably Hunter is an option. He's an option for second. Of course, I'd always want Tomac to be first, but I guess he's got to show me that he's ready, and he's got to decide himself he's ready, because that's a guy that you could holler all you want about, hey, you should be going faster, you should do this, you should do that. His championship shows that he understands the sport, and the sport's about the end of the season, gaining points and finishing the season, on top. And so consequently, if he doesn't feel like it's the day, it might not be the day. He might do another fifth, but he could also win it. So, I would say he could be anywhere from first to third. And that's all I'm going to say there. And then we have Kawasaki guy, Chase.
Yeah.
Chase showed us that he's got speed. Chase, I'm going to try to say second for him. I don't have faith in him whatsoever, but I hope he gets faith in himself, because he's definitely got the speed, so I'm going to put him in second. And then I'll just go ahead and drop Eli in there for third.
I think I'm going to go with Hunter first, Roczen second, and Sexton third. That's what I think. And if I win, Aaron owes me a milkshake. Milkshake.
I don't remember what our last bet was.
Milkshake.
It's at the end of the year. You guys had an argument over whether or not Deegan is going to be in that finishing well.
7-11,
Great.
baby, all the way.
What's that?
Chip's thinking third for Deegan, and Aaron's thinking 7-11.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And I've kind of revamped I went through the math in my head, because after that show we were watching it, and you're like, ooh, that kind of got real with those guys. I was like editing it, and it was like, no, okay, good. They're both smiling, but that got kind of real for a second.
Oh yeah.
And
we joke around. I like joking around with it here.
I got to give Deegan a little bit of break after my epiphany tonight, and that he's just, in terms of the stupid stuff, he's 17 or 19. He's entitled, right?
Yeah. To me, it's all theatrics. I mean, it really is. After watching the Bobby Regan interview and stuff, he said he's the nicest kid, the easiest kid. You tell him what to do, he does it. No complaining. It's all part of that WWE, theatrics.
Yeah.
I mean, because look how much everybody talks about him. How many times have we talked about him tonight? If he was like Ryan Dungey, you'd be like, yeah, he's really fast. Oh, by the way, let's talk about somebody else.
Right.
But I guess that's kind of maybe that's my problem with it is like, I think Ryan Dungey was the way Ryan Dungey was, because that's what Ryan Dungey's like.
Like, yeah.
And if Deegan is somebody else, then I'd rather see that kid.
Yeah, but you got to look
interested in him.
I mean, that's what his dad. I mean, that's what propelled him to stardom, was acting, unhinged and crazy and wild. And
but he was unhinged and crazy and wild. I mean, it was honest. It was.
Yeah, but I guess they found that all that craziness sells.
Yeah.
Here, let's But the good thing about Hayden is he backs everything up. You know what I mean? He'll say, "I'm gonna go rip their heads off," and he does.
That book's been pretty impressive, I'll have to say. Some of the stuff he's done is like,
I mean, you can't fault the kid. He's doing what I think his dad is programming him to do, but he's backing it up with just incredible writing. I mean, the guy's a talent.
I'll give him that, because there's been times that I thought, wow, man, you made yourself have some huge shoes to fill. And that's been kind of the excitement for me to be, is like, well, let's see if you can do it. And then he does it, And it's like, wow. All right, so then are you going to elevate it to the next level? And he always does. Is like, when are you going to go too far? But so for me, that's a little bit exciting just to see.
I mean, are you guys looking forward to the outdoors as much as I am, just to see how he stacks against Jet?
That's not actually. I mean, I'm looking forward to the outdoors because it's the outdoors.
Yeah.
But I think the outdoors, if it was just Deegan against Jet, I wouldn't be that interested. I think that Prado is going to be spectacular.
Yes.
I think it's the whole. I think Prado is going to be really tough. I think that this could be Eli dominating all summer long. It could be an Eli
to be Hunter
battle. I mean, I don't. To me, Jet and Deegan are definitely in there, but are they separated themselves from the other 7 guys? I don't think
Jet
so.
has. I think Jet has. Absolutely.
I was starting to say this. I kind of, when I was editing it, and I kind of revamped my 7th prediction to 7th to 6th, because I was going through the math on all the people that I think that probably are a little bit more seasoned than Deegan.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of where I'm at. So that's why I'm excited to see him race. I just still, and I could totally be wrong about this, so that will be fun to see, but I just don't think him being a rookie is going to, and yes, he's ridden the 450s and all that, but again, I just don't think he's going to show up there and teach everybody how it's done. I think he's going to get in there, and I think he's going to do well, and then I think he's going to mess up, and he's going to do what rookies do, and I think still a 6th place your first year overall is spectacular.
That works well, because then 7th and up is mine. You've got 6th and probably 5th. Chip's got 3rd and down.
We're going to get him somewhere.
You guys can arm wrestle over 4th.
All right. I was just going through who all could be there, and you got Eli, both Lawrences, Prado, if Sexton gets it together, and if Kenny can keep his conditioning, that's Kenny's probably going to be his issue on the outdoors. Is
I don't think Kenny can keep it. I think that dates back to like an injury he had when he was on 250s, didn't it?
Yeah.
Because he was having a lot. It seems like he's always had endurance problems since then.
Yeah.
I have one thing I would say is if Jet were to run away with the summer, it wouldn't surprise me.
Right.
But I'm wishfully thinking that doesn't happen.
Right.
I don't want that to happen.
No, I don't either. It makes for a boring summer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as the injuries go, like I thought about this, like we as a race focus on our injuries. Like I think that's half of it is it's like, and I think it's easy to do until something goes really wrong, like you have to have back surgery, and then you're like, I just gotta go. You can't focus on the pain, and I think especially our young people and young racers, like you make the decision, is it gonna make it worse to race or not? And if it's not, you just gotta drown out the pain, because our body is gonna give us signals of pain, all the time. And
it's true.
You just gotta, but are you gonna let them slow you down, or are you gonna? Because they can go 2 directions. When it's the nervous system, you can ignore it to the point where you destroy your body, or you can focus on it to the point where you can't move. You know what I mean? And we're all somewhere in the middle. And I think I think in our sport in particularly, we really lean to the side of focusing on each and every ailment and injury. And I think it holds a lot of people back,
And that's the other thing that motocross that we need to talk about this one someday, but the prevention side of it. That's one of the things that I think that we see a lot with amateur people is they don't have the injury prevention like we see in a lot of other sports. We go out, do our riding and figure that's our conditioning, and then maybe they go ride a mountain bike or something and do a little bit of weightlifting here and there or something and call that prevention. That's not really it. There's a whole lot more to discuss on that, and that's one thing that I think maybe we ought to explore another show. I'm going to stop there because we're getting kind of long.
Sounds good.
Right on.
Aaron's got to get up and go to work in the morning.
That's right.
You know.
Well, thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you next time.